I've completed Alien's Dark Descent 2 times on the hardest difficulty. I haven't played it, I think. I haven't played it for like 16 days. Oh, I still want to play it. I think it's the best Alien games in it's the best Alien game in recent history. However,
We didn't come here to enjoy the view.
I really don't feel I don't want to play it because of the way it's set up. And for this to make sense, allow me to explain it. Imagine the game being a cheesecake. And it's a cheesecake that's white and tasty. However, it has also raisin in it. However, for this analogy to make any sense, you have to assume that raisins are a bad thing in cheesecake, okay? So I hate raisins in cheesecake. So if I see a nice cheesecake and want to eat it, and then I see raisins in it, and it's like, I gotta use a fork and poke out the little raisins so I can eat the cheesecake. And that's how this game feels to me. Because it's set up like a beautiful cheesecake, which is non-linear sandbox gameplay. And the linear parts and the overabundance of onslaughts and the over-reliance of the gameplay design to solve them with sentry guns all the time feels like raisins to me. And then there's the cutscenes and highly linear gameplay right after the first map. Because most maps after Dead Hills have very linear sequences. And I think it's not good for a game like that. Because imagine you want to play the game right now. You know everything how it works in the game. You've played it on hardest difficulty, and you just want to play it for the fun of it. Which areas are you going to pick? Are you going to pick the refinery map, where everything has that weird yellow tinge, and where at the end of the refinery map you have to have this gigantic fight with waves of aliens coming in until the APC comes down to save you? Probably not. My guess is you'd likely play Dead Hills from the beginning, like the top areas and the atmospheric processor on the top area, because there's a lot of exploration gameplay. We can just go from house to house, play cat and mouse with the aliens. And my favorite map is, I think it's Pioneer Station when you come back to it, because it looks like a Nostromo. It has that Nostromo design with long hallways and a beautiful space architecture or spaceship layout. And a similar thing I noticed when playing Max Payne 3 or any of the Max Payne games. Some of the younger viewers might probably not remember the first Max Payne games because they came out in, I think, 2000 and 2002. Some of you might remember Max Payne 3. And that game suffers from the same problem. It has amazing core gameplay with the gunfights. Oh, it has a lot of linear storytelling and cutscenes and certain levels being built around the linearity of the gameplay, which gets in the way of the core gameplay. In this case, the cheesecake, which means you have to get around all the raisins to get to the cheesecake. And it's the same for Alien's Dark Descent. And I think a way to fix it or improve it, if the developers make a DLC, like here's how I would do it. Let's imagine the Dead Hills map or any map in the game. Now rip out all the static and linear stuff, all the existing objectives that the Alien Queen hive is in the basement, in the mine and all that. And then identify the strategic parts of the map. So for example, is there an alien hive, yes or no? And where's the alien hive? And then put it back into the game in a dynamic way. So for example, on each map there could be an alien hive, but it could be in several preset locations that are fit for an alien hive. So when you come down to the map, it would be like in the movie. You come down, you don't know that if there's a hive or not. You explore and you get some hints. There might be a hive, maybe it's an empty hive. And if it has a hive, you have to fight more aliens to solve whatever objectives they have on the map. And the next strategic thing would be two more strategic things. One would be the electricity. So if the power's on out, it could also be randomized, and turning it on would have certain complications. And the third thing would be that there's no death clock. However, there's like a finite amount of resources you have as Marines, and the finite amount of resources the alien queen has. So for example, the alien hive could only recruit as many aliens as were in the colony. So there should be a set amount of aliens you can fight. And then the hive is basically out of aliens and that's it. However, the amount of ammo you have is also finite. You can still scavenge from or find it, but it's a set amount. So for example, early in the game, if you play really stealthy and you don't have big boss battles, you might spend 500 to 1,000 rounds per mission. And if it's like a huge boss battle, 3 to 5,000, depending on how many sentry guns you have to use. So let's say the sandbox campaign would start with, let's say, 50,000 rounds of ammo that's on the Otago. And the Otago also doesn't have to be crashed on the planet. It could be orbiting space. Okay, just remove the set pieces of the main story map. And so you have a finite amount of stuff that you have to pit against the aliens. And you have to outsmart them in certain ways to make use of the finite resources you have to win the campaign. And the campaign would be each existing map in the game, with highly randomized strategic objectives, like turn on the power, kill the alien queen in each hive, if there's a hive even in the map. Rescue survivors, so you can get more marines. Find ammo, and other things. So I think this game is perfectly built to be a sandbox alien game. And I think we won't get another good alien game probably for 3 or 5 or 10 years, I don't know. Because the Total War developers, Creative Assembly, who made Alien Isolation, just went on making these silly Total War Warhammer games, and I hate Warhammer. So that's what I would do with DLC. Extract all the static elements, make them dynamic, and put them back into the game. And there would be like some sub-strategic elements. So for example, like Left 4 Dead has it, Left 4 Dead 2, where there's like some type of AI director that can block off certain paths in the map. So the game should have like a system where it can rearrange the pathways. It could be barricaded, completely shut off, so you can't even get through the barricade, or doors that need keycards, doors that have to be welded open, or other things.